Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Property. I'm your host, Cheryl Leo, and we've got a snazzy new look for the Business of Property. So we're trialing something out. We're actually going live on in the Facebook group, Property Development Australia. We're going live in LinkedIn. I believe it's on YouTube as well. So we're live everywhere. You can't help but not see us. So thank you very much for my team in the back that's helped me set it up. Hopefully, it all goes well without a hitch. But love for you to drop some comments below so I know that you're here and I can see your comments. And welcome to the Business of Property. I'd love to introduce our special guests today, Paula and Denis Harris from Empire 8, who are the specialists, and I say the gurus in duplex projects in Australia. Paula and Denis, come on down.
Hi Cheryl, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. And how are you both doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Fabulous. Great to see you here. Paula and Denis, I'd love to you to be here because um, we were talking about this before. You were saying, you've done over 80 duplex projects, and I know lots of people, particularly when they're starting out, want to find out, how do we make duplex projects work? And here you are, being able to share your knowledge and your experience with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Excellent, and thank you for having us on. Super excited and really keen to be able to share some of our experiences with everyone across the PDA community.
Fantastic. So, let's start off. Let's start off with a little bit about who Empire 8 are. What is the business about, and what do you do?
Okay, I guess a little bit about us. Paula, do you want to start?
No, you can.
Okay, I will start. Alrighty, so a little bit about my background. Started out in the world in the trades of boiler making and coated welding. Got into inspections and then got into a little bit more of the quality assurance, quality control side of things when it came to oil and gas and mining. So I was very fortunate to learn right across Australia in the industry and also in the building industry as well. So that's a little bit about me. Paula was very fortunate to work in the accounting space with KPMG Pete Marwick, as well as in the conveyancing areas as well. So she keeps me on the straight and narrow, and I'm out and about making sure that we've got verification.
Fantastic. And so, how did you both? What was it like getting into your first sort of property and your journey into property?
So we've been property investors for about 25 years. So we've got quite a good sized property portfolio. But what we found was, to be able to continue purchasing properties, you needed, serviceability, you needed the extra income from those properties. But we had to keep saving for deposits. So we researched and found that duplexes would sort of overcome that, where the rent, 2 lots of rent from 2 units would more than cover the cost of the mortgage and all the expenses, being positive cash flow. And then there would be a chunk of equity at completion through the strata titling, which we could then use towards a deposit on the next property, sort of like a domino effect. Finish one, draw out the funds from that and move on to the other. And then eventually, even with the duplexes, eventually the serviceability runs out. So we started the development company Empire 8 and building duplexes for clients.
Amazing. The rest is history. And so, what was your first duplex project?
We did a duplex project up in Townsville. That was about 8 to 9 years ago. So we did that. We learnt what worked and what didn't work, and then sort of progressed from there and just did a few more extra each year. And now we're sort of doing anywhere between 10 and 20 a year.
Yeah, incredible. And why did you choose sort of duplexes as opposed to, subdivisions or townhouses?
Smaller risk. You can sort of get in and get out, shorter time frames. That was the main reason. There's a lot more capital required for townhouse developments, and of course, we can be in and out of a duplex in 4 to 5 months, whereas with a townhouse development, you're sort of looking at 18 months to 2 years, and a lot more can go wrong. So just from a risk profile, for us, the duplex has worked.
And when you're talking about 4 to 5 months, that includes approvals or certifications and the build time as well?
Yes.
That's a really quick turnaround. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
we can usually get our approvals within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we're ready to we can start straight away. Under normal market conditions, we have our duplexes built within 16 weeks.
That's incredible. And so do you have your own builder that does it, or do you guys, depending on where you are, use different builders?
No, so we use one builder, then we can give them all our work. They don't need to look for other work. They just do all our duplexes. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, there's value in it when you're working with one team. And so if you're working with one builder, you've got the continuity. They've got the continuity with their trades. They're not having to always be looking for work. And, when you're working in the residential space, not so much the commercial space, it can be a smaller size team, not so much, changing out crews of carpenters, that sort of scenario. And it's something that a standalone builder can pretty much run himself. He's not having to rely on large teams, making sure that he's getting the serviceability from all the suppliers as well as his professionals, that you would have to do if you were looking at commercial size projects.
It's also how we can get a wholesale build price too, by giving the one builder all our work.
Oh, do I have you there?
Yep.
Yes,
I think we're back. So I mean, at what point were you? I mean, you talk about wholesale pricing with your builder. I'm assuming that obviously the first few it wasn't at wholesale price.
No.
At what point along your journey and how many projects in did you finally go, this is costing too much, there's a better way?
I think once we got to the stage where we were doing 10 a year, that was when we could get the bulk discounts, or the builder can get the bulk discounts. When you're doing 10 duplexes, which is 20 units, that's 20 kitchens, that sort of thing. So then, with suppliers, the price, the costs come down considerably.
Yeah. And so, I mean, in terms of comparison of build price before and where you are now, what's sort of the cost savings that you've been able to make from that?
It's hard to put a number on it because, things are constantly changing in the industry. I wouldn't even know what that would be now compared to, it was 8 years ago when we started doing that.
Yeah, it's fair to say considerable because you're spreading it across, say, like 20 kitchens instead of one kitchen. When you're looking at those suppliers and they're able to offer you discounts because you're looking at volume, it can vary quite substantially. It can vary from the point of, if I was going to do one, it's not viable, to we're doing really well. We're able to offer great value.
Yeah, fabulous. And then there's sort of, so you can leverage economies of scale, and then also, I mean, again, the before and after. Before having your own builder, how long would it have taken for the build time as well?
Yeah, we had less control over it because when a builder is doing our work, plus they're doing work for a lot of other people, that can cause delays. Whereas this way, it's just our work, so we can As soon as we know we've got council approval coming through, we've got everyone ready to go to hit the ground running virtually straight away. Whereas we don't have that control if we're using a builder that's using, that's got multiple clients.
Yeah.
And also, when you're looking at doing multiple builds, sometimes when you're doing a one-off build, and I'm sure there's people out there that have built their own homes and the likes, or even looked at working with a builder to do one specky. What happens is that if a larger builder comes along, a smaller builder struggles to get the carpenters or struggles to get the plumber on time, especially if other builders are offering them large volumes of work. That's a huge value when you've got continuity of work and a bit of volume.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, stemming from that, in terms of, so we talked about sort of the cost savings in the build itself. There's the time savings. So for your investors, I mean, every day counts, right? And it's if you've got interest on the land, because one of the things that we hear quite often is that people go, no, we're not making money in duplex projects. How can they make it work? And again, I guess this is the message, that if you know your numbers and you've got a level of control, it is possible, because you're obviously being able to develop this in a larger quantity, and hence being able to deliver a better outcome for your clients in terms of the equity
Yes.
uplift and that profit. Excellent. And typically, um, in terms of your designs and all, is there much of a variance with the designs? Are there, do you have your own drafty that's drafting designs just for that site?
Yeah, so we have two draftees that we use, so that we can sort of split the work up between them, because often, like at the moment, I've got 5 projects that we're working on, so we've had to split those between two draftees, or we'd be waiting forever for those plans to come through.
Yeah.
So we do the designing ourselves, in conjunction with draftees. But they're designed specific for that lot. So we don't have one design that we plonk onto every single block of land. They're all very, very different, and they're designed specific to that site.
Okay, great. And then so I mean, seeing that they're mainly investment properties, like how often do you have investors that are quite particular about how it looks, and the fixtures and fittings as well?
Look, we also have a lot of clients that are owner occupiers. They live in one and rent
Okay.
one out. Yes.
Yeah,
So
all
the
right.
specifications that we use are for owner occupiers.
Okay.
So then it gives a high level for, if they're going to be rented out, then, there's a high level for tenants, or if the owner's going to be living in them, or if they decide to sell them, then they can sell them to an owner occupier market more so than a rental market.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And then the property management side of things, what do you guys do in that space? Is it typically the local agent that you're dealing with, or do you have another arrangement?
Yeah, so we have a local agent that we work with, Safety in Numbers. So they manage, a lot of our properties, over 100 keys. So I organise that at completion. It's just a free service that we offer to our clients. And then, we know that we're getting quality tenants for them. If there's any issues, they contact me. I then contact the property managers, and, it's that whole safety in numbers. Property managers want to make sure that we're kept happy and our clients are kept happy, so that they can continue to get our business. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win for everyone.
Oh my goodness, just choked. Deep breaths. All right, moving. Just get a gulp of water here. 1 second. All right. So what would you say would be your top 3 tips for budding developers looking to get into their first duplex projects?
So the biggest one would be know your numbers and your costs. That's the most important thing. The second one would be know your council inside out. So you need to know exactly what you can and can't do for a duplex. And the third one is have a really good team around you. So town planner, engineer, designer, builder, and civil engineer. So we've got a team that we've been using for a long time. They're really, really good at what they do. They specialise in duplexes, so when we need an answer for a project, we can get it straight away. So yeah, it works really well.
Yeah. And have you guys considered doing other types of projects, subdivisions against townhouses, other things, or is it sort of
Yeah,
more
look, we looked at
specialist?
last year. Actually, we spent a lot of time looking at townhouse developments. But with the new car parking rules in Queensland, we just couldn't get the numbers to work.
Yeah.
So we just carried on with duplexes.
Yes.
I
We
guess
know what we.
yeah. Oh, sorry. I guess we're in a good position, Cheryl, and I mean, saying that we were able to say no to sites that other people possibly would have said yes to. We were really looking for a site that was the perfect site. A lot of people say, you know, your site's never going to be perfect. It's how you come up with options to push through some of those challenges. Because we've got this full-time business with the duplexes and we know it inside out, we're in a position where we don't have to actually chase a site to make it work. We can afford to say no to a site and wait and be patient for a site that's spot on.
Excellent. And how are you finding being able to source land in the current market?
Yeah, it's definitely getting harder, especially with property prices, because, you know, land values just going up considerably. There seems to be a lot of people in the market with a fear of missing out, so they're offering ridiculous prices on land just so they can get it, you know, get something under contract to do a development. And that's sort of dangerous waters, because if you don't know your numbers inside out and you're overpaying for the land, are you going to make a profit at the end? Who knows? You know, and there's a lot of people that are going, oh, the property market's just going to keep going up. But you've got to do your numbers at today's figures, not with your fingers crossed, hoping that prices are going to keep going up for the end product. Because if it doesn't, well then, yeah, you could be in a world of pain.
Yeah, yeah. And I know when we spoke about possibly talking about a case study, and I think this is a really important point. I did ask Paula and Dennis if they could share some case studies, and Paula rightfully said, well, it's going to be really hard to share a case study because they'll be sort of quite misleading and inaccurate because we're in a different market.
Yes. So the
Pricing's
market
different. Yeah.
So the
Go
market
on.
now to what it was 6 months ago is considerably different. The rising costs of labour and, you know, like for instance, frames and trusses. We know we've been advised that on the 1st of September, there's going to be a 30% increase in frames and trusses. That's considerable. There's a lot of builders that are under contract, have been for, you know, for several months, won't have known about that, won't have taken that into consideration. And that's a huge increase. You know, roofing has gone up. Anything to do with timber or metal has gone up in price. You know, even the underground pipe for our underslabs has gone up. A lot of it, nearly
plumbing.
nearly as much as 50% in some cases. So, you know, prices are rising, and you know, we all need a crystal ball, but you know, we don't have one. So we've got to be really, really careful with our pricing.
Yeah. And so how are you guys managing this, the risks of longer build times, the costs and all of that? I mean, and how much is that eroding what would have possibly been your profitability in your projects?
Look, we're not finalising any build contracts until we're about 30 days out from being able to settle on that land. It's the only way we've been able to control it, because from sort of before the start of this year, we could go to contract 9 months, 10 months before we're actually ready to get started, before we've got land titles. But, you know, because build costs were sort of staying relatively the same, but because of the current market, we just can't do that. So we're not actually finalising any numbers until we're about 30 days away. That way we're sort of on top of any price increases that come in, and just keeping the lines of communication open with our business, with our builder, and certainly we're not leaving our builder to hold the costs of considerable price increases. Because the last thing you want is your builder being under financial strain, half midway through a build, can't pay their contractors, and then suddenly you're dealing with the QBCC with a builder who's just about to go out of business. So I think that's probably something that people need to be aware of, because I do hear of people saying, we've signed a contract 6 months ago, our builder's asking for more money, we're not giving it to them because we're in a fixed price contract. Absolutely, legally, you don't have to, but do you want your builder going under? If they've got multiple contracts and they're in that boat, that's something I certainly wouldn't want to be in. Nothing worse than a builder going under and you're halfway through a build. It can take a year to 2 years to get that build finished, when the QBCC, well, for Queensland, it's the QBCC that have to then take over.
So it just comes down to keeping those lines of communication open, Cheryl, talking to your builder on a regular basis, find out where he's at, but also talk to other builders, because sometimes, builders will increase prices just to give them that little bit of extra buffer, but also talking to suppliers to find out exactly what they are projecting that's coming up, so that when you are talking with your builder, you've got a bit of an idea, you've heard what's happening out on the street, you've heard what other builders are going through, and you can actually factor a little bit of that into the contingency, but also look at your timelines and work back from there.
Yeah, I think, definitely it's a big talking point at the moment in terms of build costs, and these issues or these sort of concerns are coming up from builders where they're like, well, we're having to wear this cost. I know, and clients going, well, I've signed fixed price builds. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes it is that being able to balance it out, going, I want to have a good outcome first of all, which that means a completed build. And you've probably got to sort of share the pain a bit in the current market, because it is something that is industry wide. And again, no one wants to see a builder go broke.
No.
Either.
Well, if the builder goes broke, your project won't finish. And it's going to be harder to find someone to finish your project than it is to part with, say, $10,000, $15,000 and finish the project together.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for people who are wanting to work with the both of you, what are the sorts of services and offerings that you have?
Yeah, so we do duplex house and land packages. So our client settles on the land, then has a build contract, and then we basically project manage it from start to finish. Denis is on site every single day, checking on the progress of all our builds. So that keeps him very busy. And then I do the management side from the office, and sort of have all the direct contact with clients.
How many projects do you guys have in construction at the moment?
So we've got 5. 5 in construction, under construction at the moment.
Yes.
And we've got another 5 that we're in the planning stages at the moment that will be kicking off in September.
Excellent. Well, you've got a bit of a fan here. Julian says, "G'day, Paula and Denis. Without doubt, the best developers on the Sunshine Coast." So big shout out there. How do people get in touch with the both of you?
Probably the easiest way is just go to our website, which is empire8.com.au, and then you can book a 15-minute phone call with us to have a chat. And there's a phone number on there as well if you want to ring the office.
Awesome. empire8.com.au. Do you help with the finance side of things, or you work with brokers on that?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of mortgage brokers that specialise in duplexes. Duplex Finance. So we can definitely refer clients to them too. We don't get any kickbacks or anything, referral fees or anything for that. We just recommend these guys because they're so good at what they do. It makes our life a lot easier than dealing with brokers who really don't understand duplex finance, and then we're suddenly having dramas when we should be getting finance approval and things are falling over. So it works really well.
Absolutely.
Just on that, what is the difference? I mean, what do people need to be looking out for when you talk about duplex finance? Like a broker that knows duplex finance and a broker that doesn't. What are the issues there that people should be looking out for?
Yeah, look, probably the biggest thing is how they're ordering the valuations, because that's where we've seen there can be some issues with, I'm not a broker, so I don't know how the valuations are actually ordered, but that is one area that we have found a few issues with brokers who are honest and said, look, we've never done a duplex before, and then we run into valuation issues, whereas the ones that are doing it on a day-to-day basis, we just don't have any valuation issues.
Okay, and that's sort of when they're acquiring the land and then post-construction as well?
So there's a few different ways of doing it, but the majority of our clients, they do it with one loan for the land and the build. Still progress payments, that sort of thing. They settle on the land and then the construction loan kicks in. But the majority of the time it's done as one loan.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, if anyone wants to find out more how to do duplex as well, if you're not quite sure and you want to be able to work with some experts in the space, I think with over about 100 duplexes under their belt, I think they know a little bit about duplexes and how to get it done quickly. I'm absolutely amazed that it's probably not in the current market, but to be in a normal market, to be able to have a build from start to finish for less than 6 months is fantastic, and have 2 properties at the end as well, which is a great outcome. Denis and Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And I know it's been a long time coming for you to be a guest on the Business of Property. I'm so glad you've been able to share your knowledge, your experience as well. So thank you. Reach out to them, empire8.com.au. Thank you both very much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you very
us.
much.
No, absolutely wonderful. We'll see you all next week in the Business of Property. Take care. Good night. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.